an opportunity to see what they've been building since for a long time, right? And just seeing, my first couple of years in the league, Arizona was in the playoffs, and so it's like you see kind of where they were, where they had become into what they are now, and it kind of a lot of ways it mimics Florida in the last, how they kind of went through the draft, have a bunch of guys kind of grow up together, and then start to make noise later as they get older in their careers, and that's where I see the team, right? That's was something that kind of excited me. You see that type of trajectory again, and seeing how it worked. It worked with that. Can it be replicated? That's the type of idea. And with ownership and everything they've done in the city of Utah, it's just there's a lot to like, especially since I know I'm a pretty outdoorsy guy. I love hunting, I love fishing, I love getting out and doing all that stuff. So that is completely right up my alley. Not that I didn't like going to the beach every day, but this is a different stage of life that I love. I'm really excited for.
Belle Frazier with the Salt Lake Tribune.
Hey Nate, welcome to Utah. I
Thank
know you
you.
spent some time with Liam O'Brien and Hershey and with the Capitals. What was your experience like with him, and was he any part of, bringing you to Utah? What conversations did you have with him?
He's a spicy tuna now, I hear. Yeah, no, I actually did give him that nickname when we played together, the big tuna. You know, uh, Man, like I saw him. It's so much different. I mean, I saw him this year after the game, after we played you guys, obviously. But it's just, it's fun to watch guys and how much they've matured in their careers. I talked to him a little bit afterwards, but it was something that, you know, when you kind of gauge back at your early relationship in hockey, how important it is to kind of lean on those people. And I actually loved when he first got to Utah, went up on stage. Like that's so cool. Hockey needs more of that type of personality. And I think that's such a huge part of it. And that's the reason why I think that the both of us together will hopefully bring a lot of spunk to the group.
Cole Bagley, KSL Sports.
Nate, welcome to Utah. Just curious, the Mammoth are an organization that are really trying to push for the playoffs now. And how do you, as a Stanley Cup champion, help add to that and bring a championship experience to the room?
Yeah, for better or for worse, I've played in a couple places now that where I can kind of see where things kind of fall on the spectrum. Um, I'm talking with a lot of people around the organization, a lot of staff. Mitch Stewart and I had a long conversation today about a lot of sports science things and different adding, parts to the off ice programs and on ice programs and things that I've learned over my career. And that's kind of where it starts, right? Like it starts with like I said, I've said this before, about this group. This group is arriving, right? Like each year you've looked at it and be like, okay, this isn't just a point night anymore. This isn't just another group that you're going to go into in Arizona, and this team plays hard. Like they have more than just a couple of skill guys. It's becoming a more complete team, and the defensemen are a lot more veteran now. In the last couple of years they've played more. You've added myself along with a couple guys that have won before. That type of mentality starts to roll over, in my opinion. With teams that I've been on, that's the type of mentality you have. Once you guys when they taste it, like I just tasted this thing and I cannot wait for a chance at it again. That's what you get. That's what you're gonna get out of me, and that's what I'm most excited, hopefully, to bring to this group.
Jeff Vernier with Fox 13.
Yeah, hey Nate. I want to ask you about that playoff run. You kind of bet on yourself going to Florida, and you really came on strong for them in the playoffs, especially against Tampa Bay. Maybe what did you learn about yourself and during the playoff run, and what that playoff run was like for you?
Yeah, it was the first time our team had been healthy the entire year as well. Like I feel like we were kind of battling a lot of stuff, and so it was the first time we got to see all of our guys in the lineup together. And for me, it was kind of been not a knock on me earlier in my career. My college coach used to would say, you only show up in big games. When we get to pro, you can't really do that. You play 82 games, all of them are big. You can't just show up for the big rivalry games and stuff like that. But when it comes to playoffs, like there's something different to it. And I always feel that the guys that can harness the moment and slow things way down are the guys that are always the most successful. And that's something like over years of experience. Now I didn't have that right away. That's something that I have gained over my career. And in this one, I just thought, man, our team is really good. You just have a chance to just go out there and play, and things will fall where they may. And I just took that I tried, like I said, the first time I got to the Stanley Cup final, I felt like it went way too fast. I got swallowed up in the moment. And this last time, I tried to grind it to a halt, and you just and really slow it down that pace, because that's where you don't want to get sucked up into it. You have to be able to compartmentalize the idea of like when you're at the rink and when you're not at the rink. And I I had a blast. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, you win the mug. It makes it easier to say you had fun with it. But I had fun with the things in between games, right? Like the things that you're not just racing to the next game, racing to get to. We gotta get to game two. We gotta win through game three. With that mentality, being like, you know what? It's gonna happen. You're gonna lose games in the playoffs if you allow yourself to get beaten down by that. You're not going to be as effective in the next game in the next series.
Brogan Houston, Deseret News.
Nate, welcome to Utah. I'm just kind of wondering if you've had any conversations with management or the coaching staff about where you might fit in the lineup, who you might want to play with, and as well as like special teams, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of it has been just more macro, right? Just talking about this a lot about how we play and the style of system we want to play, and that's kind of how it fits within my game. Blaine Forsythe and I worked together in Washington for a long time. I still think I could do his entire meeting with so I did so many of them when I was with him that he's ingrained it into my, it's like right here in the back of my head still, which I love. I think that's a sign of a coach that if you are that memorable and that specific with how you work. For a player, I haven't played for him. Gosh, I haven't played for him for 8 years now. To still remember all those things, I think that's incredibly important. But no, I've been more just on a high level stuff. I think, but still got to come in and win a spot and try and earn some ice time.
Caleb Turner, KSL.com.
Hey Nate, welcome to Utah. You mentioned the spicy tuna moment with Liam. I'm curious, your thoughts on what you've seen from the Utah fan base so far and what you hope to bring to this community.
Yeah, you know what? I love the passion. I love the excitement. That's me to a T. I love that type of energy that people bring. That the passion amongst fans, like that doesn't kind of scare me away. That actually kind of brings me closer, right? And the long flow that he's got me a little bit more in that department. I actually was making a joke to Jeff a little bit before that. I did make sure to do my hair up in between people. I don't know if Jeff got it. I can't really see you on screen right now. I hope you're laughing behind the page. But no, that's the kind of the excitement that I see. We played this year. I know that we were in and out when I was there this last year, but that sense of pulse, right? That sense of behind the team, of that first real year. I mean, I had a similar feeling to that when I was first year in Vegas, what it means to be in a city for the first time. And you're kind of navigating how do we do things and, community engagement. Now the second year is kind of when you really start to ingrain yourself into the community. And that's something I'm excited for.
Chase Beardsley, Hockey Writers.
Hey Nate, welcome to Utah. I want to know, I know you and the Panthers only played Utah twice last year, but did you see anything from the team on the ice or anything from Utah that really compelled you to sign with the Mammoth?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is, like I said, like Florida was early in my career, it was kind of a place where guys just kind of went to, and there's a little bit like that in Arizona where you just kind of went there, you played all your games, and you got your points and you moved on. This year, these last year and a half or so, I felt like the team was a lot more, a little bit more spicy with it, a little bit more on top of it, a lot more tenacious. They're not just kind of getting their power play points and screwing off. Like they're much more in the game. Like the game was tight. I remember when we went into Utah, the game was tight for most of 60. And that's the kind of attitude you need to have, that type of, we're going to be all over you. We're going to be on top of you. We're going to try and, create as many turnovers as we can. And that's where the speed of this team kind of comes in, right? That's the importance of having guys, mature in their way, right? And just grow old and understand like when to apply pressure and not. And that's something I hope I can help, along the process this year.
Danny Webster, Las Vegas Review Journal.
Danny Webster.
Nate, what's going on, my man?
Good to see you. Look at
Good
that.
to
How
see
we
you,
doing?
man. Good, how you doing, man?
Good.
You mentioned betting on yourself, and 7 years is a long time for since you played with one, since you had a chance to play for one. Now that you've won it, have you been able to reflect on everything the last few years, maybe since the bubble, and maybe what you learned about yourself, both hockey-wise and with your family?
Yeah, man, there's a lot to go into that. Hockey-wise, knowing you're not going to be there every year. And I was blessed to be in Washington. We had really good teams, some President's Trophy teams, and go to finals in Vegas our first year, conference finals. And then all of a sudden you're back into the murky middle of grinding it out, trying to get in every year. And I think what hit me more than anything is you just don't never know when your next chance is going to be, or if it's your last chance, right? And so that was probably the thing that hit me the worst. And the last couple of years, thinking, being on teams like, oh, we'll get them next year. It's like, dude, you never know. You're never going to know if your team's going to have a chance. And I went to Florida. They just went to back-to-back finals. Is there a chance that they don't have enough in the tank? Right? There's a real question mark there. When I first got there and seeing, after going on long runs, like guys are tired after long years. Like it's tough. And so, with me and with where I'm at and my family, like trying to get some stability too, it was a kind of a big thing. I'm expecting kid number 2 here in a week or two. So the Schmidt family is fully in the chaos stage. And so we are, so that was kind of a big part of it as well. And getting into a community like Utah and Salt Lake and everything, I think that's just going to be such a huge part of, my future, right? Like, and how I kind of move forward here in the next part of my career.
Tom Callahan, Locked On Utah.
Nate, welcome in. Good to have you. Wanted to ask you, when you were going through discussions with Utah, as far as your on ice role, can you give us a little insight into that process and where you might see yourself fitting in?
Yeah, the way I look at it is the the same coach I was telling you about before said this to me once. Hey, Schmidt, get the puck to a skilled guy. We have a ton of those up front. With Utah, was one of the things that you look at. So you have a ton of skill forwards that can make tons of plays. Now is the next part of their development as a team. And for me, and that's where I thought when I was talking to management, talking to coaching staff, where you can kind of fit into with this group and what you can bring. I don't go into any situation anymore. I went into with Florida this last year, like, listen, I will play whatever, wherever, and however. And that kind of mentality I thought was really kind of, lightning for me, because I didn't feel like it took a lot of the pressure off because I didn't go in there expecting anything. And that's kind of the way I'm going to try to do this next play, and then this next move is coming to Utah, which is I'm not going to expect anything out of where I am. No power play time, no PK time, and whatever you get, you just roll with. And I felt like this last year, that was something that's really helped me a ton, because when you start, expecting things and thinking that you deserve this, that, and the other, you start, there's possibility of getting resentful of not being on the power play or not doing this and not just enjoying it. I mean, that's what I wanted to do this last year more than anything, was just enjoy playing hockey again, because you feel like there's a lot of load on your shoulders. You're getting paid this and doing that. It was like, man, that stuff started to break you down. And so I thought one really important thing for me that I'll take forward is that, because I don't really see myself, trying to take all that weight on at once. It just doesn't work. I don't think any player can really do it. I mean, you see it with all guys all the time in the league. Sometimes a pressure kind of helps them, reamp themselves, and this last year really helped for me as well.
Last few questions here. Let's go back to Bell.
Nate, not sure if you've had your official day with the Cup, but even yes or no, what's the most fun or outlandish celebration you've had with the Cup this summer?
I have not had it yet. We don't know our date yet. We're trying to push it past, before the baby, or sorry, until after the baby comes. I mean, that baby was with us for the run, even though it wasn't stateside yet. Oh gosh, watching Sam Bennett and Matthew Tkachuk hold up Brad Marchand, it was pretty funny because of all the things that those three guys have been together with. And I can't believe it. We're able to get over their differences. No, it's that was pretty fun. I guess it just, I mean, I try to be with it at all times, as much as I could be. At some point, you gotta go to
bed. Back to Cole Bagley.
Nate, for a fan base that's still learning hockey and has yet to experience the playoffs yet, I was just wondering if you could describe, what does it feel like to play in the playoffs, and what does it feel like to win a Stanley Cup?
Man, it's pretty euphoric. It's when you see the old commercials when guys can't talk and they don't know what to say, there is a lot of meaning behind that, because it's everything I'd ever hoped it would be, and it's just there's something about the playoffs. Is why it's so magical, right? Like it's magical because I'm gonna do something thinking about it. It's like it's magical because you're in a time where you're only with the guys. You're only playing hockey. You're with the team. There's really nothing else. All the outside stuff is really kind of getting blurry and hazy. You're just off the rink, on the road. You're in the team room. You're hanging. You're watching guys play cards or playing Xbox, whatever it may be. You're just with it. You're just playing hockey like a young kid again. So that's what it is like for a player, and that's what it is like a fan base. You're sitting there saying, "Wow!" Like, you see the extra, 15 to 20% on every guy. You're seeing the hit the guys are giving the extra 10 to 15 to 20% just to get an extra hit on. Like, it just everything gets elevated to a point where it brings this a different energy to the rink, and I really hope that and I believe that Utah fans will be able to see that this year, because this team has a chance. It's really up to the guys at this point. It's not like we're trying to say, God, we're gonna be grinding. We might need X, Y, and Z to work. Like, I think this team can cut out a path themselves without having to ask anybody else for help or anything like that. So that's exciting for me, and that should be exciting for the fan base as well.
Couple more, Brogan, Houston.
You knew that we couldn't let you go without asking this one. What restaurant did you guys get to go to while you're here in Salt Lake?
I no comment, man. It was that was really funny, honestly. We were all so mad too. It wasn't like anything bad. It was just we got in at like 2:30, or it was like a dull time of the day. Like it wasn't even. It was just there was nothing really bad. It was just more of a funny story that Chucky pulled it up and tried to walk us into something, right? You may be able to find out. Depends on if they sell merch, because I will be buying some just because I think it'll be awesome.
Chase Beardsley.
Nate, for the fans that don't really know you yet, what would you tell them about yourself, not just as a player, but as a person?
Gosh, I used to have long wavy hair. No, I think I wear my heart on my sleeve. I love this game. I love playing. I try and take every interaction with kids and things like that as seriously as possible, because I love that part of the game. That's something that as a young kid, like, come up to a college player, NHL player, those are things you remember. The things that I remember, when I was young, even seeing the high school kids, it's just there's a type of responsibility in that as players. It comes to the territory. That's probably something that I really kind of cherish the most as a player, when I got to interact with fans. And just the fact that, hey, listen, I tasted this thing once, and there is no doubt in my mind. Some guys might say, "Oh, I won my cup, and I'm going to move on." But this thing is burning. I was in the gym last week already. Just trying to make sure that I'm ready for this next year. Just saying, listen, I'm not gonna let this thing just be a one and done thing for me. I want to be able to be back there again. It's too good not to share with people around you and the people that helped get you there. And it means a ton to not only me, but to everyone around you.
Last question, Danny Webster.
Nate, two-parter for me. First, can you walk us through the moment that Barkov hands you the cup and what's going through your mind there? And the second one is, prior to the day after you won, when was the last time you shotgunned a beer?
You know what? I did not know it was going to come to me. I really thought I was going to go to Bob, right? Like, or even the captains. Like, it's kind of, I know I've seen them do it, in the past, but this team had just won, and they, and he looked at, and Chucky looks at me and said, "Dude, I think Cap's coming to you." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then he locked eyes with me, and I turned around. I'm happy the camera's not on me, because I turned around and did one of these. I was like, "Is he actually looking at me?" But it's pretty. He's got pretty piercing eyes, right? It's not an easy thing to not see. So so that was a pretty spontaneous thing that happened, which was special. And I just remember the guys behind me, like, "Take your time and enjoy the lap." It's the best. And I've done a lot of laps in my career, but that one is by far the best. And yeah, I did a couple more after that first night. Yeah, the next day, at the elbow room was a good one. 2, 3 maybe. And then the parade was a couple more. I didn't have anything before the parade started because I knew that was going to happen because everyone, you literally can't walk 6 inches without somebody trying to hang some. So you could go a block and fall over if you really wanted to. So, and I was like, listen, I want to remember all this. This is going to be too good not to remember it. So I tried to keep it pretty tight. Although one guy tripped me, I was holding my son in one and I was like trying to get it open with the other one. I have a little fang tooth. Anyways, I can get it open. But it was have some game. Not that I do it. I don't really, that's like the first time I've done it in a long time, but there's still some game there.
We appreciate the time, Nate, and we can't wait to see you in Utah.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.